Welcome back into Exit 99 Sports. As always, my name is Caleb DeLoach, and we have, can't say officially, but we have wrapped up about 90% of the season, 95%, 99% of the season of the school year sports calendar here. We've got, I believe, 2 games left. So everything else now, we are finished. Track is over. Baseball is over. Notre Dame girls soccer, though, still alive. They are the one team holding out on us. They're going to be playing into June, so that's cool. I'm sure there's some parents that made maybe some vacation plans that they shouldn't have, maybe a little bit early, but outside of that, it's a very exciting time. I'm sure it's a sad time for a lot of people, a lot of parents, athletes, things like that. A lot of, careers ending, a lot of whatever. No more watching your son, daughter play the sport you've been watching them play for a long, long time since they were little kids, things like that. But it is exciting. We had some awesome competition here this past week. I'm going to jump in, talk about, the one baseball action we had left, one baseball team we had left, also Notre Dame, this past week. So rewind with me. Obviously, it's with it being over already, it's kind of weird to talk about it at this point, but all the way back last Wednesday, Notre Dame takes on North County in the Class 4 sectionals. Now, for most people, it wasn't that simple, right? This was a game that was supposed to be happening, I think a day earlier, but really unfortunate. I think, I talked about the last show. The game was going to be happening up there at North County. Really, really unfortunate situation, scary situation for, I'm sure, the players, coaches, and the parents especially. Solo accident, bus wreck there for Notre Dame on the way up to North County. I know it's a hairy place to drive over that direction, calling, not really football, we don't have to go over that direction too much, but calling basketball games for Jackson the last few years, traveling that kind of no man's land east or west of the interstate there. All you got the Farmingtons, Fredericktowns, Hillsboroughs, Bonne-Terre, that whole area, North County, it's all that, Northwest, Seckman, a little bit closer to the interstate. But there's all these schools kind of off the beaten path you got to go to if you're a team from Southeast Missouri. The DeSotos and even things like that too. So there's a lot of these schools kind of there in the woods you got to go to, and those drives are sketchy, man. Especially in this situation where it was, bad weather conditions, things like that. And unfortunately, they did have their bus ran off the road. There were some kids that were injured. That was a very serious deal where a few kids had to be taken to the hospital, and thankfully, luckily, they ended up largely being all right, right? There was no major problems, no major injuries, nothing too serious, but it was very, very scary for a lot of people. And it was very, very, cool situation that happened the next day. So Notre Dame does make it up there. They played North County. Great ball game, back and forth, pitchers duel. We go in, the game's going 1,000 miles an hour, right? Because it is a pitcher's duel. Nobody's scoring. North County does go up. They're leading 1-0 in the ball game. They hold that lead for a while. They've put up, one run in the second inning. Or what? Notre Dame put up a run in the second inning. That was on a Colin Heiser sacrifice bunt. That's right. He had a suicide squeeze. They scored a run, went up 1-0, and it held there. Third inning, fourth inning, fifth inning, sixth inning, no run scored. And then it's just like, why? We're so close. North County does get a run across in the top of the seventh. Notre Dame doesn't answer, so we go to extra innings. Eighth inning, nothing. Notre Dame shuts out North County in the top of the ninth inning. They come up bottom of the ninth, tied 1-1. Runners on first and second. It was an interesting deal. The kid was dealing. He was pitching well. The pitcher out there for North County, and if I remember right, he threw up on the mound, behind the mound. It was kind of a gross situation. It was really funny. I was listening to the radio call with Rusty Hendricks, Eric Shawn. They were on it, having to listen to them, something I've never had to do, listening to them have to call a kid puking on the mound just like right before he's about to pitch was kind of funny. But yeah, if memory serves, I think Notre Dame had runners on first and second, and Colin Heiser was up 2 outs and hit the ball to third base. Should have been inning over. Third baseman stepped over, catch the ball. Lucky bounce. It hit the front of the bag. So you know how, the bases have a little boom, boom, there's a little lifted off the ground square there. So it's just that inch off the ground. It hit right there. The ball hit in the perfect spot. Took a crazy bounce up into the air, flew over the third baseman's head. Runner was able to score from second. Colin Heiser, the hero, both RBIs. He had both RBIs. He went 1 for 3 technically with the sack bunt early in the game to get the first RBI, and then he got the game winner there, walk-off single. Man, it was an unbelievable moment. And all the fans, I'm sure it was an insane scene up there at North County. It was awesome to kind of listen to and witness. I'm trying to remember. This happened. Yeah, it happened while I was at work. I was trying to be chill listening to it in my earbuds at work, and then they hit the walk-off. I was just fist pumping at my desk, just all right, let's go. And a quick turnaround. So a quick turnaround. They immediately come back. So really, really cool moment here. Them getting to host Notre Dame, getting to host the quarterfinal on Thursday. They're taking on Westminster. Westminster's tough. Westminster, a lot of history there between them and Notre Dame, facing off in the playoffs. They've seen each other several times over the year in the postseason. And unfortunately, it was a similar deal as the day before, as the sectional ball game. It was a low-scoring game. Also a deal where it was kind of cool because T.J. Bolin got to be the starting pitcher for Notre Dame. T.J. was one of the kids who missed. He wasn't there at all for the North County game because he was in the hospital, kind of recovering from injuries and things like that. So the fact that, he was able to be cleared and then get on the mound, he pitched a great game. He went 5 1/3. Gave up 3 hits, 2 earned runs, walked 6, struck out 6. Peyton Duncan then came in, finished the ball game for him after he had reached the pitch total limit there. Peyton Duncan got the last 2 outs, struck out a guy, but just the bats just weren't working. There was you're facing off against a good pitcher from Westminster, the McAllister kid. He pitched well, and they brought in the Zinker kid out of the bullpen who shut things down. He gave up 1 hit. In total, Notre Dame had 2 hits. Both of them were by Houston Crawford, who had pitched a gym the day before for Notre Dame. Houston Crawford, he goes 2 for 3. He has an RBI, the lone run that was scored in the game, and the only 2 hits of the game. So it was all Houston Crawford, but unfortunately that was not enough. Westminster scored early. What was it? They scored in the 3rd inning, got a couple runs there. The RBI by Crawford was in the top of the 6th, but Notre Dame couldn't do any more damage, and unfortunately that ended the ball game and ended the season for the Bulldogs. So, it stinks going out, losing 2-1 on your home field, all that jazz. But, coming back from what they did, man, the perseverance, just to go up to North County and win the sectional game to get it then to your home field for quarterfinals. Really, really great showing by those kids, man. Really, really cool deal. Good season. What was it? 20-15, I think, is their final record. Not a lot to complain about. They had a good season. I think they got 4th place in the SEMO conference. So a solid year. They beat some good teams. They played pretty good baseball. They were competitive throughout the SEMO conference. Looking up and down the schedule, they beat that North County team early in the year, 10-0. They beat a good Jefferson team. They beat Portageville, who is still alive in the Final Four. We'll take more. We'll look at that here in a little bit as well. And then, they beat a good Festus team who was in the Class 6 playoffs deep still as well, where they might have just got knocked out. They got over the hump. They beat Poplar Bluff. They beat Poplar Bluff at home in extra innings, 5-4. That was an awesome moment to watch and to witness there at Notre Dame. And like I said, SEMO Conference, they finished 4th, lost to Cape there in the 3rd place game, beat a good Cougar team, beat Bernie here at the end of the season, then dominated their district and had a just whirlwind leading up to and then sectional win for them over North County. So, it stinks. Obviously, you want to keep it going on. You want to play in the Final Four, things like that. But Nothing to hang your head about. Really, really good year. That was the first year of the new staff over there at Notre Dame. Coach Bolin, Christian Cavanis, Caden Kendall, all these guys. They got Notre Dame over a hump, which is kind of crazy. Notre Dame had not won their district since 2018. It had been a funky drought here where they really hovered like right at or right below 500 for about 5 seasons. They won the district in 18. They did not in 19, but they went 20-7. Then after that, 12-14, 14-12, 13-11, 14-13, 14-14. And this year, 20-15, good step. You have a good senior class, really strong group of kids that kind of carried a lot of weight at times on offense and on the mound. You're losing. It's not a big group, but it is an important group. Chase Lawson, who's had an unbelievable season at the top of the lineup for the Bulldogs. Colton Londaway, a base, get on base and steal base mastermind there. Peyton Duncan, who pitched well, hit pretty well at times. Houston Crawford, who did it both on the mound and at the plate as well. And then TJ Bolin, same thing, kind of the ace of the team and also a really, really good hitter at the plate as well. So they're losing a lot. They're losing a lot. Thompson Willoughby graduating as well. They're losing a lot. Just production. It's not a lot of numbers, not a lot of people, but it is big production that they are losing. They bring back, though, pieces that made big plays, had big moments. You look up and down the roster quickly. I'm going to try not to leave anybody important out here. Sam Self made some nice plays. Chase McCowan had some good games. Sam Gata, Braxton Sides. Jack Jansen had a good sophomore season. Colin Heiser, who was the hero there. I know Ty Blattle had dealt with some injuries. A lot there. Cooper Chapman is a freshman who he pitched in that win over North County. He was in the game late, got out of a jam when it looked like North County was potentially going to win the ball game there. Cooper Chapman was a guy they trusted in a really, really big moment, and he stepped up, and he had some really big moments throughout the season. So this is a Notre Dame team that they're going to have good talent again next year. It's just, hey, can we replicate what we did? Can we take a step further? Even in the regular season, can we take a step further? Keep that get that win total up as high as we need to put ourselves in a good spot for districts, which they did this year. They beat everybody in their district they played in the regular season. And then, hey, once it's elimination time, just stack wins, see where it can take us. And shout out to them. They did a great job, great season, and it was a lot of fun. And we potentially have a good scheduling in with one of the assistant coaches at Notre Dame. Might be hearing from somebody on the coaching staff there in the coming weeks here as we close out the actual sports calendar, getting to the summer. So that's the end of baseball. So baseball finally done. Curtain has been drawn, but we did have soccer. I think I mentioned it the last show. Notre Dame eviscerated their entire district. Notre Dame, sometimes people talk about failing, or you keep succeeding until you reach a point where you fail, right? Notre Dame, due to whatever when it comes to the point situation, they have dropped down to Class 1, which is a point at which is just no longer fair for a lot of teams they play against. Like I said, they ran roughshod over their district, and now they are in the Final Four. I was going to wait until the end to talk about this, but might as well do it now. They annihilated the competition in districts, right? I think it was like 20-0 or 20-something to 0 or 1. Yeah, they won. They beat the Hancock 8-0, beat the Collegiate School of Med Bioscience, long name, 6-0, and then they beat Principia 9-1 in the district championship. So now they will be taking on another private school, Duchesne, in the Class 1 state tournament. That is the semifinals here in Class 1. It's going to be a tough game. Duchesne is a good squad. They're the Pioneers. They're 12-7. They've played well in tournaments away from home at times, though it's kind of been a mixed bag. They're 3-4 in true road games, and neutral side or tournament games are 4-1-1. Offensively, they're solid. They average about 2.5 goals a game. Defensively is kind of where they make their mark. They give up only on average 1 goal a game, a little bit better than Notre Dame, who's about 1.5 goals allowed per game. There's one team they have in common that they both played is Parkway Central. Notre Dame lost 3-0, and Duchesne lost 3-2 in that ball game. You know, Duchesne has a long history, I guess, of success. The last 20 years, especially, they've gone to state 8 times. They went in 2008. They went in 89. It was the first time they'd ever gone. They got 4th back then. But in 2008, they got 2nd place. But then it's 2009, 13, 14, 15, 16, they won the state title. And then in 2017, it's actually the first and only real recorded in the Misha website meeting between Duchesne and Notre Dame. That actually went in the favor of the Bulldogs. Notre Dame beat Duchesne in the state semifinals. That one was 2-0, way back in the way back there for those two squads. But, you know, to quote Rick Pitino, Megan Heiser is not walking through that door, unfortunately, for Notre Dame. But nonetheless, who did score in this ball game? Bailey Beesink, Hannah Landaway, shout out. Megan Heiser did have assist on both. Shout out to Megan. But yeah, they have the talent. They're at the level, I think, to play with and beat this Duchesne team. I know state ranking wise, the last one they put out, I haven't looked it up here, but I'm pretty confident it was like Duchesne was 1, Notre Dame was 4. So, I mean, they're in the same realm, I would say. They're very much in the same tier. I believe, which is not surprising here, but I believe the top 4 teams in the last state rankings are all in the Final Four. You got Notre Dame and Duchesne on the top half of the bracket. The bottom half of the bracket is New Covenant Academy and Pembroke Hill out of Kansas City. So, yeah, I mean, this is a Final Four that I think Notre Dame can win. I mean, now look, I say that I have 100% confidence. I would be not surprised whatsoever if they win it all. But I mean, if you tell me that they lose both of these games, they play close, I wouldn't be shocked either. But I really think this is a tournament that Notre Dame can win. As I said, there's only 4 teams left. They play Duchesne. If they win, they play the winner of New Covenant Academy and Pembroke Hill. Both those teams pretty darn solid. Good records out of both, but it'd be an interesting contest. I think, like I said, if I'm a betting man, I think Notre Dame's the favorite going into the Final Four. We still have some time. So this game is not happening until June 5th. That's Friday of this week. So there's still quite a bit of time. The game is Friday at 10 a.m., which really sucks. That is terrible. That is stupid. But if I'm not mistaken, I think they're playing a bunch of games that day, all at the same location. It does appear to be the case. So still dumb, nonetheless, really, really dumb. We're playing a state semifinal at 10 o'clock in the morning in St. Louis for a team from Cape Girardeau, but whatever. And if they win, so the only good thing is about playing at 10 a.m., you will have the most rest of anybody in the field. But unfortunately, if they win, the state championship game is at 11 a.m., which is at least on a Saturday, which makes a little bit more sense. People don't have to work commonly. But still, I mean, 10 a.m., state championship game at 11 a.m.? What are we doing? I don't know. But yeah, so best of luck to Notre Dame. Go get it done. That said, they have the talent. They have the ability, in my opinion. I think they're definitely good enough. They have themselves a good group, a small group, but a good group of seniors. Wunderlich, Tebow, Panton, O'Daniel, all really important pieces for this team. Let's go get it done. Let's go win a state title for Notre Dame. Put them in the history books for the first time since 2019. They won a state title back then. They went to three straight championship games in 17, 18, 19. Won it in 17, got second in 18, won it again in 19. So let's go get it done. Put another trophy in the trophy case over there at Notre Dame. Be exciting. Could be the 3rd ever championship for the girls soccer team. So go get it done. I'm excited. I'll be keeping track. I will be watching. I'll probably watch on Misha TV app there. So if you do want to watch, that is where you do it. Misha TV. They have an app. You can go to whatever. You can go on your computer too. You can watch on your smart TV. If you download the app there as well. Not sure what the price is. Probably for championships and Final Fours, they usually make like one blanket price, whether it's 15, 20, 25, something like that. And you get all the championships, even if you don't care, but you get all those. So that is the plan there. So That is soccer. We've got two more games left regardless for the Notre Dame girls. So moving on, we had track and field this past weekend for classes 4 and 5. So that was Cape and Jackson both competing up at Jeff City. Another just kind of crazy situation going on up there where it's scheduled for Friday, Saturday. Basically how it works is you run some of the longer races, the long distance races. The final is on, some of the finals are on Friday. They kind of split them up, right? Because you're running a lot of these. There's a lot of crossover usually for these kids where they're running, the same kids are running the 3,200, the 1,600, the 800, the 4x8. So they kind of try to split those up a little bit where it gives more breaks for those kids. And outside of that, you've got prelims in all of the, the 100, 200, 400, and 800 on Friday. The hurdle events are all prelimed on Friday. And then you run the finals on Saturday, and they split up the field events. So like half the field events are on Friday, half the field events are on Saturday. It's kind of the general schedule that they lay out there. Well, if you had looked at the radar or looked at the weather app going into the weekend, you knew there was quite a bit of rain on the perimeter, on the horizon, not the perimeter, on the horizon for the weekend. So it's kind of a dicey deal. You didn't know how it was going to work out, how it was delays and things like that were going to work. And I mean, immediately, first thing in the morning, you've got rain, you've got lightning. We're pushing things back. We get in a decent amount of work in some of the field events because they started a little bit earlier before some of the rain got going too heavy. And then we got to have, I think just the boys. So the boys 4x8, that was the first thing. Boys class 4x8 ran. So they're running, they're first leg, second leg, third leg. And as the anchor leg was getting the baton, a little bit before the anchor leg got the baton there in the 4x8 in class 4, rain started coming down. It started coming down harder and harder. They're finishing, the rain's coming down harder. And they're like, screw it, let's throw the class 5 4x8 out there. Let's see what happens. And it is just a downpour. You can look on, I think, probably the different Misha social media accounts, or you can check it out on, you can find the various social media accounts that had kind of pictures. I think the Jackson track account has pictures of it. It was insane. Like there was standing water on the track. Like their feet were being submerged on the track in water as they were running. I mean, all those kids, most kids that are running distance or, not the heaviest as it is, they all gained about 20 pounds in water weight trying to run through that hurricane. It looked like out there. I mean, it got pitch black on the broadcast. They turned the lights on at the stadium. It looked like they were running at night, and it was like 10 a.m. or 11 a.m., whatever it was. So crazy situation. That ends. They're like, we're done. I think it might have lightning, or it was lightning as well. So that's an automatic 30-minute break for all the lightning strikes within the area. However that works out. And so they're just like, all right, we're going to take a break. We're going to suspend. And then they suspended, and we got to the afternoon. They're like, we're just going to move it to Saturday. So we just moved everything to Saturday. Crazy deal. So you scrap all the prelims. Instead, you're just running 2 heats of finals for every event. So every kid has a chance to, place to win in the meet. But it also puts a lot of stress on some kids, So that means you've got kids throwing in 3 different events on the same day, or you've got kids jumping in 3 different events on the same day and running a race, or you've got kids running 3-4 races all on the same day. So, it works some kids to death a little bit. You probably lost a little bit of time here and there. Maybe some kids didn't perform to the best of their abilities just from wear and tear, having to run a little bit extra than they planned on. But overall, we had a really, really successful day for Cape and Jackson. I mean, both teams performed phenomenal. Boys and girls, they all made big impacts. And it was really, really fun to watch. So we're going to jump in here. There's a lot to go over. We'll start with the Class 4 group, Cape Central. The Tigers had 2 state champions. So really, really cool. 2 state champions, 1 boy, 1 girl. On the boys' side, it was, I would say both were somewhat expected. They were both the favorites going in. But on the boys' side, it was Kent Sheridan in the pole vault. He finally gets over the hump, man. That was really, really cool for him. Really cool to see. He'd come up just a bit short the last 2 years, right? I think 2 years ago he got 3rd. Last year he got 2nd. And so, this year he was extremely motivated, obviously. But it was kind of like, hey, this is your year. Like, you are the man. He had the state lead. He jumped over 16 feet this year. I think he ended up, 16 feet 1 inch, give or take, this year. So he was the prohibitive favorite going into the meet, and he did win. He jumped 15 feet 1 inch was all that was needed. Nobody else got over 15 in all of Class 5, all of Class 4. So he dominated the competition there. To pick up his first gold medal. Senior, obviously, great career. I mean, he's won almost every meet he's ever competed in, especially like regular season meets. As I said, he got 2nd in state last year, 3rd in state as a sophomore. I mean, he had an unbelievable career. Really, really cool to see him cap it off with gold here in this meet. And he's going to be going to Illinois State. So best of luck to him as he competes at the next level. I think I saw his dad, who's been coaching as well there for Cape Central, is going to be putting his coaching career on hold or pause or some sort of stoppage for a while he is able to kind of go see his son perform more as well up there. So really, really cool deal. Really, really exciting for him to get the gold medal. And then on the girls' side, similar deal. The leader in the state this year in the 100 meters was Taraji Riley. She's been dominant. She smokes local competition. I think every race she's running this year, she's won in the 100. So she was the top dog by far. Everybody was trying to knock her off, and they could not. She does get first place, gold medal in 11.80 seconds. Excuse me. She, just a good race. It was her and a girl from Festus were kind of neck and neck there throughout the race, but she pushed just ahead of her, won by I think about a 1/10 of a second she won by. So really good race by her. Like I said, only a sophomore though. So, I mean, this girl has unlimited potential. She has a huge ceiling. You could see a couple more of these state championships in her future for sure, especially in the 100 meters. You might see her take it up to the 200, trying to put her hand or try her hand at the 200. She's also an unbelievable long jumper. So, she could be competing for a state title in that the next couple of years as well. So congrats to her. Congrats to Kent. And then we'll go ahead and talk about everybody else here. So jumping back to the boys' side, Cape Central didn't have a lot of flat track runners in this meet. They only had one individual flat track race runner. That was Elijah Cheek in the 400 meters. Cheek had really taken a huge jump here the last half of the year. Early in the year, he's running low 50s. He's running 51, 52. And then all of a sudden, he just cracks under 50 and just stays there. He's lived under 50 the last month or so of the season. And in this race, he got 6th place. He ran 49.17 seconds to get 6th in the 400s. This is another young kid. I believe he's only a sophomore as well. There's a kid you're going to see a lot more from. Speaking of young kids, another one, a sophomore, Demarion Williams. He's had a really strong season. A lot of different disciplines. He hurdles, he jumps. In the 100 hurdles, or the 110 hurdles, that's where he qualified for state this year, and he finished in 4th place, 15.00 seconds. He was actually in the first heat. He was the leader in the first heat. He was in 4th lane there. He had the best seed time of anybody, but he was in that first heat on Saturday, and he ran a great race. He won his heat. Couple guys in the next heat did jump ahead of him, like Patrick Slack from Poplar Bluff, a couple others. But yeah, finished in 4th place. He's another kid, only a sophomore, multi-sport kid, good football player. Like I said, he does a lot of different things on the track. he is a really big-time athlete, and he's got a big future. And another race he contributed in is this next one, the 4x400, the last running event for the Tigers here at State. Great showing by Cape Central. They get second place. They run 3:20.90 in the race. It was Demarion Williams, who I mentioned, Elijah Cheek, who I mentioned. Got two kids, really good runners there. It was Aiden Dockery and Tion Carter. The four of those guys combined put together a really good race. They got second behind Poplar Bluff, I believe. I was really impressed. Cheek, I think, got them started. So it was a nice race. They were really strong. I was impressed. They had a good day on the track there. Wasn't a lot of guys, but they succeeded in scoring a lot of points for their team when they were called upon. So field event side, they had a lot more guys competing here. In the throws, obviously Isaiah Husky is kind of the big name. He finishes third in the shot put, 57 feet, 8.25 inches. Good close to his career. Jamie Adams, he gets 13th place in 48 feet, 8 inches. And in the discus, Isaiah Husky gets 9th place just off the podium. I'm sure it was a little disappointing, but he threw 156.11. He's a kid who has a great future. He's gonna go to SEMO. He and throw there. I'm not sure what they have him throwing exactly. Their shot, disc, a couple more weight throw, things like that at the next level. But this is a kid who tore his ACL or something. He tore up his knee. Near the back half of football season. I want to say it was right around the Cape Jackson game. He blows out his knee. Immediately, it really sucked at the time for Cape. I knew that, hey, that's a big loss on their O-line. But for me, I immediately thought, I was like, this kid might just not have a senior year in track, which that's really where he's able to kind of shine for this Cape athletic department, is throwing shot and disc for them. And he was able to come back. He got healthy. He got cleared about midway through the season. And, put himself in the state meet in two different events, shot and discus, performed really well, gets 9th and 3rd to close out a great senior career for him as well. So congrats to Isaiah. And then I mentioned Jamie Adams. He finishes 13th place. He had a lot of room to, kind of push up a little bit further. Only a 9th grader. So, this is a kid you're going to see the next 3 years probably here in Jeff City. So that's really exciting, the future that the Tigers have. Now we've got a couple of jumps, the high jump, long jump. That is Jaden Johnson territory. So Jaden Johnson finishes 6th place in the high jump, 6 feet 2.75 inches. Also, right there, 6 feet 2.75 inches. That's what we're going to say instead. Is Demarion Williams, the guy I talked about a little bit ago. Ran the 110 hurdles, ran the 4x4. Also a really good high jumper. He finishes 10th place in the high jump. They both finished with the same height, but the number of misses accounted for the difference in their places. And then also in the long jump, just Jaden Johnson as well. He finished in 5th place in the long jump, 21 feet, 10.75 inches in the long jump. All that together puts the Cape Central boys in 4th place as a team. They tied for 4th. I think it was, one team finished first. I want to say 2 teams finished tied for 2nd, 2 tied for 4th, something like that. They performed really well. I was really excited to see how well they did. Things like the 4x4 was a little bit of surprise, coming in 2nd, and then even like Demarion Williams getting 4th or getting 4th in the hurdles was a little bit of a surprise. So all these jumps up in performance helped push them ahead there. They were really in the hunt for the team overall title. It was pretty much a blowout by Poplar Bluff in the end, but Cape put themselves in a really competitive spot. Like I said, they were tied for 4th. Them and Festus both scored 38 points as a team. So now we'll talk about the girls. The girls team finished 9th overall and 26 points total. This is a team that had good success, kind of multiple disciplines. I mentioned Taraji Riley. She won the 100. And they didn't have any runners up until the 800 meters. Danica Marriott got in She's another person, finished above her seed time. She finished 11th place, 2:26.50. Good run by her. And then Cape Central qualified both the 4x1 and the 4x2. 4x1 finishes in second place overall, 48.63. Nice run by them. I mean, that was a lot of Taraji Riley running there for him. She had a big time close in that one, the 4x1. She got the handoff. They were in probably like 7th place, give or take. And she took them from back in the pack to second place. You give like 10, 15 more meters, you might have hunted down Festus there, but they do come in second place. That was, I mentioned Riley on the anchor leg, Aaliyah Jackson, Haley Williams, and Scarlett Whitbut comprised that 4x1 team. And then in the 4x200, they ran that as well. They finished in 14th place, 145.67. That was Caden Kern, Haley Williams, Aaliyah Jackson, and Taraji Riley. A lot of Taraji Riley out there for him, but she's a beast. So makes a lot of sense. Then in field events, Layla Bergfeld, she had a busy day. She was throwing discus and she was throwing javelin, qualified for both. And big day in discus. She finishes 6th place. She throws 116.10 in the discus, and then javelin, she comes in 13th place, 109.6. In the high jump, Caden Kern, who I mentioned in the 4x2, she finishes 15th in 4 feet 9 inches. And then in the long jump, Taraji Riley again. So Taraji competed in 4 events all on the same day. Long jump, she finishes in 4th, 17 feet 8.25 inches for Riley to complete her very, very busy day out there on the track. So now we can talk about Class 5, Jackson Indians. Good day, good day on the track for the Indians. But something you might have come in kind of expecting, the Indians. They've got a couple kids that are next level when it comes to sprinting. That is Barrett and Blaine Reagan. They're just phenomenal, man. I mean, they've rewrote the record books at Jackson. You look at top times, and it's kind of funny. They only list your best time in the all-time numbers when it comes to like the 100 or 200, 400. But if you just did it every time they ran, it would just be nothing but Barrett and Blaine Reagan, the top 10 in the 100, the 200, and the 400. These kids have just been unbelievable. One of them is a senior. That is Barrett Reagan, and they came away, Barrett, I think he's technically the only one, but Barrett is a 2-time state champion now after today. So Jackson wins 2 state titles in the 100 and in the 4x1. We'll just run through them here. I mean, the 100 meters, you had both Reagans, Barrett and Blaine, in the final. Unfortunately, I think it affected Blaine a little bit, where Blaine was actually in the first heat. They separated them for some reason. I don't know why they didn't, like how they seeded them or things like that. It might have been based on the sectional time and not like your PR thing like that, I guess. But regardless, they put Blaine in the first heat. Blaine wins that first heat. He runs 10.65. Then you bring in what is considered the faster heat, but like I said, Blaine Reagan is a top 3, top 5 runner in the entire state in 100 meters this year. So you got Barrett Reagan, you've got, really fast kids from Platte County, I don't remember who, Lee Summit West, Ozark kid, Cannon Williams. And Barrett blew out the 100 meters. You don't see in the 100 meters, especially at the state meet, you don't see many times where there's like a kid on the track, you're watching a video, here he is, and then like here people are behind him. Like it is usually an even type of thing where like one kid just like edges out everybody else. He was running out ahead of everybody. Like it was not close. And due to that, he finishes with a 10.30 PR school record and overall Missouri state record. Yes, he broke the Missouri state record, 10.30. Insane. It's truly, truly insane. Like, I'm a big fan of track and field. I'm a big fan of these kids because they're insanely fast. I can't imagine. I never could have imagined in my life a kid from Jackson running these times. Okay. I always tell people, I talk about it on here, I've talked about it with others, like, we had Brandon Wright, all right? Brandon Wright was my age. You look in the record books of Jackson, he's going to be up there in the 100, the 200, the 400. He was a freak athlete. He was an all-state football player. You know, he was a kid who was playing varsity basketball as a sophomore. He was an unbelievable athlete, right? And I remember he ran 10.9 for the first time, and it was just like, this is crazy. This kid is the fastest kid we've seen in 15 years here at the school, right? He's the fastest kid in the whole school. To run 10.30 is just unfathomable. I mean, he ran 10.37 earlier in the year at SEMO Conference. And then Blaine ran 10.65. He got third place in the end. There was a kid right between like 10.55 or so. 10.59 maybe. I don't remember exactly what it was. But he comes in third place. Honestly, I think if you put Blaine in the same heat as Barrett, I think he would have, that chase would have pushed him a little bit faster to where he might have ended up getting second place and competed a little bit better there with Barrett. So Jackson goes 1-3 in the 200 meters with the Reagans. I mean, state record 10.30 is just, it's crazy. I plan on getting Ty Crowden on here, one of the coaches over there, a good friend. I mean, we're going to talk about it. We're just going to talk about how crazy it is probably for an hour. So be prepared for that in the future. So we got a couple more races in between, and then we have the 4x100. 4x100, Jackson, you know, you have these two kids that are incredible, right? The two Reagan brothers. So it's a good team. It's a really good team. And you've got two Jackson running backs on there, Memphis Maddox, Jalen Hampton, who, you know, you watch on Friday nights. Those kids blow by people. They have crazy long touchdowns on the season. They're super quick, super talented athletes. And Jackson was competitive. Like, you know, you knew they were going to be in the state final. Where at exactly, though, I didn't know. You know, they'd hovered around like 4th, 5th this year, coming into the state meet. So that was about where I expected them to be. You know, you had a couple schools, maybe from St. Louis or from Kansas City, like a Platte County, who had a Lee Summit West, Lee Summit North, every which direction of the city of Lee Summit. You know, these places have a ton of kids that are just freak athletes. And so, you know, I thought Jackson could compete. I was excited. I was like, let's see where this goes. But never in my life did I expect to see Jackson win the 4x100 in the Class 5 state championships. They did. 41-18 was their time. I mean, 41-18 is just unreal. 41-18 is so fast. Like, that's not the fastest time in the state this year. Fun fact, I know that, but just an insane time. What is that? 4x1. We're scrolling. We're stalling. 4x100. So 41.18. That's still only the 4th fastest time recorded this year in the state. That's what I'm talking about. Ahead of them, I mean, Lee Summit had run a faster time. Platte County had run a faster time. Lee Summit West had run a faster time. So, like, these teams, who else in Class 5? Park Hill's in Class 5. So, I mean, there was some concern there, right? I mean, Nixa has some dudes. Like, I didn't know how it was going to shake out for us. I had a lot of faith in the kids on the team. They're the 4 fastest kids on the team. I knew that, but I never thought they were going to win it. It did help. I think we had there were two teams that I think dropped a baton or had a miss in the handoffs. That also is a big part of it. I mean, when it comes to relay races, especially the 4x1, 4x2, 4x4, not really. It helps a little bit to have good handoffs. 4x8, kind of similar deal. But 4x1, 4x2, handoffs are really important. They're really underrated. If you ever watch the Olympics, the U.S. is in a torture chamber when it comes to handoffs. We always have, the U.S. has like the 4 fastest men and women on the track all the time. But if you don't execute the handoffs, you're not going to win. And they did. I mean, they had crisp handoffs. Each kid, it was a good handoff. It was, they started with Barrett Reagan, so that's a pretty good start. Reagan to Memphis Maddox, good handoff. Maddox to Hampton was a perfect handoff. Hampton to Blaine Reagan, perfect handoff. I mean, and Blaine just cruised to the state championship. He had a little bit of a push inside from Lee's Summit, I believe, was just inside of him, but a couple lanes to the inside of him, but just cruised to the championship. Rockhurst actually finished second. So it was, Jackson ran 41.18. Rockhurst was second with 41.55. So, and 41.57, Lee Summit. So, I mean, Jackson just dominated. Also, that Lee Summit team had both the Hatfield kids that played against Jackson in football. So, got to win over those guys. Good to see. But, I mean, just unbelievable day at the track, man, for those two teams, that team and Reagan coming in first in 100. I mean, they put up some other pretty crazy performances. I'll talk about those now in the way this broke down, and we'll talk about this more with Ty coming up whenever I get him in the studio. They ran both Reagans in 100, and both Reagans were a part of the 4x1, but they split them up. They were both entered in sectionals in the 200. They were both entered in the 400, and then one of them sat out of each, right? So they did not run in all four races. Does it help? Probably, maybe. Does it help their performance? I think so. I assume that's the thought process. Like I said, I'll know more when we talk. But I assume the idea was to have them at their best, kind of preserve energy as much as you can to perform well in the individual events there in the 200 to 400. Because Barrett had run faster in the 200 than Blaine, so they had him run the 200. Blaine had run the fastest in the 400, so just have him by himself in the 400. Now, in the overall state tally, does it have an effect? Yes. In the end, I think it has a big effect because Jackson finishes third overall in the team standings. They're 8 points short of first place. I think there's a world in which Reagan's running in the 200, 400 probably make up that 8 points maybe, but you never know how that affects them. I mean, you run an extra race because, I think it affected Blaine a little bit because he goes straight from the 4x1 straight into the 400. Kind of takes a little bit out of you. I know it's only 100 meters, but when you're running 10.5 seconds at 100 meters, you expend a little bit more energy than most people do running 100 meters, I think. So, so you go straight into the 400. Blaine comes in third place in the 400. This is another situation where, he's a reigning state champion. I didn't really classify him as maybe the favorite going into it. There was a couple kids who I liked a little bit better, what they had been doing. He comes in third. He runs 47.35. The two kids ahead of him, kid from Lee Summit and then John Moss out of Columbia, who's a stud, they both run sub 47 times. So I think Blaine's PR 46.9. In the state title last year to win, he ran 47.05. And then like a couple weeks later, he went down to like New Mexico or Arizona, running an AAU track meet there. He ran 46.96, I believe, which is just, that's another, like, I can't imagine that. Like, that just doesn't compute in my brain. Like I said, when I was in high school, we had one kid running sub 50. That was Brandon Wright. He ran like 49.7. Nobody else on the team ran under 50 seconds. And these kids just do it every single time. Like, the Reagans just run out. Like, they can take it easy and run like 49.4, right? It doesn't make sense. So Blaine runs 47.35. That's his best of the season. He had a slow start to the year. He was banged up coming into the track season. He was injured. They eased him in throughout the year. He's ramped up here at the end. You saw the times just dropping and dropping and dropping. He ran a great race. I mean, he just ran into two dudes that put up otherworldly performances here at the state meet. So he comes in third there. In the 200, Barrett Reagan was there. He was a lone representative for the Indians. He came in. He either had the fastest, he might have had the second fastest time in the state this year. So it's him. It was the same competition, actually, that Blaine had. So it was him, the kid from Lee Summit West, kid from Hickman. And, I mean, Barrett ran an unbelievable race. Barrett Reagan comes in second place in the 200. He ran a PR, school record. He ran 20.74. This is another, this is crazy. Like, if you're, tapped in at all, 20.74 is crazy for a kid around here. Like, I just cannot fathom that he did that. So 20.74. The top three, so he came in second. Kid from Lee Summit West won, then Barrett, then the kid from Hickman. All three of them came in faster than the previous Missouri state record. So yeah, Missouri state record was, I want to say 20.9, give or take. All three of them came in under that. I think it was 20.6, 0.7, 0.8 for the top three kids. Like, it's crazy. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's so cool. So, I mean, shout out to Barrett. I mean, what a way to go out. You set a Missouri state record in the 100. You break the record in the 200. There's just another kid that broke it faster than you did, which is crazy. You break two records. You win a 4x1. I mean, what a way to end your career, dude. I mean, he's going to SEMO. I mean, look, he might be the fastest kid on the team when he steps on the track at SEMO. I don't know. I think 10.3, that might be right. That might be the fact. Like 10.3, 20.7. Like, that's something he can churn out with any consistency. He's going to be making some noise, I'm just saying, at the next level in the OVC. So shout out to them. Shout out to the Reagans. What a day. I mean, Blaine getting third, and first in the 4x1. Barrett getting first, second, and first in the 4x1. Like, unbelievable day for those two kids. So, moving on. Jackson actually had a team in the 4x800. I mentioned earlier that we had that just tsunami going on the track. Jackson had a 4x8 team there. They finished in 14th place. 8:23, like I said, no hate on those kids, how they ran. I mean, it had to hurt. Like, that rain was just flying in there. It was crazy windy. That was Carter Reese, Aiden Needbalski, Carter Sander, and Nathan Meisner, the four guys who made up that 4x8 team. Then moving into the field events, Jackson represented in a few. So you had discus and shot. You had kids in both of those throwing events. You had long jump, high jump. In shot put, Gavin Shin, he was in both the discus and the shot put. Gavin Shin finishes 8th in the shot put, the score point for the Indians. He throws 52 feet, 3 1/4 inches, up around his PR. He's a kid that's consistently over 50, so really good to see out of Gavin. Another young guy who's going to be, coming back next season. In the discus, he was there as well. He finishes in 12th place, throw of 143 feet, 6 inches. And then ahead of him, Bryson Wessel, another guy, another incredible career. He finishes 3rd place in the discus, 174 feet, 7 inches. Just insane. Just phenomenal stuff. Phenomenal throwing there by that kid. And, I can't say enough about some of these kids, man. Just Jackson has a really, truly, special group this year when it comes to track and field, and maybe just in general, like kids in high school right now. Like, this is a really, really good group that they have all together here. Bryson is going to graduate with the second furthest throw in school history there at the state championships, 174.7, about 6 inches shorter than the school record set by Clay Darnell. Shout out to Clay. He was a class below me in school. Wessel, he finished 2nd in state in wrestling in quadruple overtime or something like that. 1-0, crazy match. He all-state offensive lineman. He's going to Mizzou to play offensive line in the SEC. He anchored both sides of the line of scrimmage for a Jackson team that had deep playoff runs, including the state semifinals this year. He won awards. I mean, he's truly, truly special athlete. Nothing but good things. I've heard about him as a kid as well. So another just insane showing, insane career for a young man here in this area. In the jumps, we had high jump, long jump. Both were Ryan Larry carried the torch for the Indians in jumping all year long. Kid's a great athlete. In long jump, he finished 7th place, 21 feet, 11.5 inches. And then in the high jump, he finished 6th with a jump of 6 feet, 4.75 inches. So really good showing by him. Picked up a handful of points for the Indians. And like I said, that put them in 3rd place overall in Class 5. So really good showing by them. Big time stuff there for the boys. And I don't have the numbers in front of me. That's one of the better finishes that come to mind for Jackson. So shout out to them. On the girls' side now, Jackson finishes 15th as a team on the girls' side. The Indians were only represented, on the girls at least, in one running event at all. It was the 4x200. That group finishes 14th place in 144.24. That is Brooklyn Williams, Stella Roosler, Anaya Bonzi, and Beckley Getz are the four that put together that 4x2 team. Now, outside of that, it was all field events. So another girl, man, I keep talking about these kids had great careers. I mean, another one who had an unbelievable senior season here, Katarina Ellefson, in the throws, and all the throws. She qualified for state in the shot put, the discus, and the javelin. And she had a good day. In the shot put, she finishes 15th, 32 feet, 11 and a quarter inches. In the discus, she scores a point for the Indians. She gets 8th place. She throws 121 feet. And in the javelin, kind of her best and specialty event of sorts, she gets 3rd place with a throw of 141.3 to pick up, 6 big points there for the Indians girls team. And this is a girl, she's going to Louisville. She is a big-time athlete. She's a big-time thrower. The fact that, she's able to qualify in 3 different events is unreal. It's spectacular. Really, really cool to see for her. She's another one who just made huge strides, and she's going to be representing Southeast Missouri here at the next level, at a high level there in the ACC for Louisville. So really cool to see out of her. We'll be, following along for her career in the future. As I said, and she just put up great performances. She scored 1 million points this year in regular season stuff for Jackson. I think she was the outstanding field performer for girls, if memory recalls, at the SEMO conference meet. So shout out to Ellefson, man. She has had an awesome, awesome, awesome season for Jackson. Elsewhere, long jump, Brooklyn Williams. She finished in 5th place. That's another girl who's just kind of done a little bit of everything they've asked of her. She finishes 5th place in the long jump, 18 feet and a quarter of an inch. I mean, great showing by her. Scores more points for the team, but she's a girl who's run 100, 200. She's long jumped. I think she's high jumped a little bit. I don't know if she's ever triple jumped, but I mean, she just kind of does it all. She's just a great all-around athlete. She was a kid who I don't think I ever worked with individually at any camps or things like that, but she's one I saw as a sportsplex a lot back in the day, playing basketball, stuff like that. She was also like really, really good at basketball as a kid. So she's a great athlete. Another one graduating here for the Indians. And then in pole vault, Jackson had 2 girls place. It was Lily Morningstar in 7th place and Amelia Fox getting 8th place. So Morningstar actually set a PR of 11 feet, 3.75 inches. Had a really good year wrestling. I think she ended up in the state meet there. And then comes here state for track and field, finishes 7th place and sets a PR. Amelia Fox, 10 feet, 10 inches. I know a little bit down from last year's state finish. I'm sure it's frustrating for her, but a good showing. I mean, anytime you can come out here and finish on the podium at the state meet at Class 5 is just huge, huge, huge accomplishment. And she's another one, only a sophomore, I think. So she has a lot more time left in a Jackson uniform. I'm sure she's going to put up some big-time performances in the future. So, man, I think that's all. I have to talk about. Is that everybody? Yes. Talked about Jackson. Talked about Cape boys, girls. Yep. Did it all. We've got one more matchup, two more matchups, technically, regardless. Notre Dame win, lose Friday against Deshin. They'll be playing again Saturday, hopefully for the Class 1 championship. If they are in the championship, that is at 11 a.m. If they are not in the championship, then they will be playing in the 3rd place matchup also at 10 a.m. So 10 a.m. back-to-back days potentially. If they lose, if they win, it'll be 11 a.m. on Saturday. Elsewhere, this is the last thing I'll talk about. Actually, I have one more shout-out after this, but just kind of perusing who's still alive in the state if you care at all. St. Vincent up north, they did win their quarterfinal game against Westminster, 1-0. So their girls team going to the semifinals. I think They won the state title last season, so looking to repeat here. They have a girl going to Mizzou who's a monster, so shout out to them. In Class 3, you've got Rockwood Summit, Fort Zumwalt South, Capital City, and St. Michael the Archangel still alive in the semifinals. Class 4, no surprise, you see Jorge Zoo in the semis. You've got Parkway West, Nixa, and St. Teresa's Academy still alive there. And then baseball, Notre Dame is knocked out. Everybody else, Cape Jackson, Saxony, all eliminated as well, but checking out who's still alive. Class 1, nobody around here. Cooter was eliminated. So you've got North Shelby, St. Elizabeth, Dadeville, and Northland Christian in Class 1. Up in Class 2, we do have a local representative down in the Boot Heel. The Portageville Bulldogs, they knocked off Veritas Christian Academy 13-5, so they're in the semifinals. They'll be playing, by the time you hear this, they'll have already played. But they're playing Eugene, 10 a.m. on Monday, geez. They're playing Eugene in the semifinals, and then Miller and Faith Christian Academy are in the other semifinal. Up in Class 3, we have a representative there as well here, just a little southwest of here, is Scott City. Scott City beat Jefferson in extra innings. They're in the semifinals, taking on Duchesne. It's a familiar face there. They're playing Duchesne June 3rd. And the other semifinal is Licking. Terrible name. Licking and Blair Oaks is the other semifinal. Up in Class 4, as you know, I talked about Westminster beat Notre Dame, so it's them. Orchard Farm, Springfield Catholic, and Excelsior Spring. Springfield Catholic's a good squad. In Class 5, Festus, who won the district that Cape Central's in, they were eliminated by Chaminade. So now it's Chaminade, St. Dominic, Willard, and Platte County. And in Class 6, Jackson, their district winner was Vianney. Vianney, just earlier, as you know, I'm talking to you, earlier today, they beat Lafayette. And so it's Vianney, CBC, Blue Springs South, and Rockhurst in the Final Four in Class 6. So that's all the people that are still alive, people are still playing right now. The last thing I want to talk to you about, I think the only thing, let's see if anything else comes to my mind, but it is Jackson last season's right tackle. This year, I'm assuming, we haven't talked to Coach Nesby yet, but their left tackle this season, Brayden Harris. I think on the last show I mentioned he had a Final 3 of Arkansas, Kansas State, and Central Florida. Well, he pulled the trigger just a few hours ago for me as I'm talking to you Sunday, May 31st. He pulled the trigger. He committed to Kansas State, took a visit there to Manhattan, Kansas. Liked what he saw. And apparently, culture good, fits good, all that stuff. So he will be a Kansas State Wildcat. So very exciting for him. I know they have a new head coach, Colin Klein, just coming over. He was a legend there at Kansas State. He won, or he didn't win, but he was a Heisman finalist from there. He won double-digit games multiple times as a quarterback, and he was the offensive coordinator at Texas A&M the last few years. Did a great job there. Obviously, they had incredible success, him and Marcel Reed. So he's coming over. He's going to be the head coach back at his alma mater at Kansas State. They brought over a guy from Mizzou who probably had a lot of familiarity with Brayden, recruited him probably beforehand at the offensive coordinator position. They have a good O-line coach. I think he's from San Diego State, longtime guy. Their assistant offensive line coach is pretty much a lifetime Kansas State guy himself. So he's in a really good spot. I've never been to Manhattan, Kansas. I know a couple people that are Kansas State fans that went to school there, things like that. They have nothing but positive reviews. So hope he really enjoys the experience. If that's in, where he goes, there's still a lot of time, but if he decides to really shut it down, then he'll be a Kansas State Wildcat a year from now, or I don't know what his plan is as far as graduating early or anything like that goes. I don't know. But he will be a Kansas State Wildcat in this next year, so that's really, really cool. I'm sure it's always a good feeling for the athlete and probably the coaches too, when somebody's a big-time recruit, to maybe get the decision-making process out of the way before the season starts. All the distractions kind of over with, all the talking to coaches, and, it's cool. I'm sure a lot of different teams coming in to see your kids and stuff, but probably takes away some of the attention, some of the focus here by kids here when you've got a bunch of college logos standing on the sidelines. So Exciting stuff for him, though. He's a kid I've been around. I don't really know him personally, obviously, but been around church, things like that for a long time. Seems like a good kid. So wish him nothing but the best. So it's really cool. More local kids competing at the next level, competing at a high level. There's a few years away, maybe you might be able to turn on ESPN and watch him play an offensive line for Kansas State. So that's really cool. So congrats to Brayden. Anybody else like that? It doesn't come to mind. I don't think we had any more commitments or signings. If I've missed anybody, let me know. I'm always down to talk about that. I'm always down to, you want me to break some news for you? I can break some news for you. Bring kids on the show, talk about their decision, anything like that. If any parents are listening, you want me to do that, I'm more than willing. So I appreciate it. As always, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. It was a fun show here. We're kind of wrapping up, kind of almost all the way wrapping up the season. We've got one more team out there, Notre Dame girls soccer team. So outside of that, my anticipation is I mentioned at the last show here in closing, kind of the future of the show, the summertime. There's no sports going to be going on, at least local high school sports. I'll be plugged in on what's going on summer wise. How football kind of scrimmage games or practices are going. I plan to attend a couple of summer basketball games, things like that in the area, just see what teams look like. And, I'll keep you up to date on all that stuff. But the big plan, my primary thought is to have a bunch of interviews with, coaches, administrators, maybe some former players, things like that. Just get a little bit of different perspectives, hopefully have a few different schools here in Cape County covered as well. So that's my hope. That's my goal. So hopefully in the next couple weeks, over the summertime period, you're going to be seeing a lot of cool interviews, a lot of different people that you might be interested in hearing. So that's my hope and goal here for the podcast for the summertime. So once again, thank you guys as always. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, YouTube, where I put all the videos, have them on Facebook as well. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon. If it's not up anywhere you listen to, let me know. I can upload it there as well. So thank you as always. Have a good one, everybody. We will see you in the next one. Take it easy.